Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today I'm very excited to talk to none other than the CEO of two very important companies. The first one is called Project ICO, and the next one you really want to know about is called the Bridge Protocol. So welcome to the channel, Steve Hyduchak.
You got it. Thanks, Brad. I've been a big fan. We're glad to be here and get to speak with you and the Neo community a little bit about Bridge and what we've been working on.
Steve, honestly, I've been a fan of yours also. I've been following along with Project ICO for some time, but now more than ever, it's time to talk about Bridge as well, which we'll get to. But Steve, before we start, can you tell us a bit about your background, just in a nutshell?
Sure. So like everybody else, I came from, traditional back university, went to school for finance, worked in pharmaceutical finance jobs, and then kind of got the blockchain bug a few years ago and investing. And we started to see the need for this tool we developed on the marketing side, and got into consulting with some really cool ICO projects like Loki and Elastos now, and we're really happy to help big projects like that. And it's kind of evolved from there. With our background with Project ICO, now that some of the community has heard, we've seen some inefficiencies, and that's where Bridge has taken us. We've seen inefficiencies in costs with legal. These blockchain companies are asking the blockchain to support them and fund them, but they weren't using the blockchain to benefit their investors and the community. So that's really what we wanted to bring with Bridge.
Right, so Steve, let's pull it back a bit to the problem, the real world problem that you were trying to address with the very first blockchain, with the Project ICO. What was the problem, and how are you trying to solve that with this first initiative?
So with Project ICO, we wanted to come in and offer another alternative, not just a quick ICO. We wanted companies, and we wanted to help them do their due diligence. So we wanted to go through the legal process, set them up with the correct marketing and PR, tax purposes. And from there, we saw the cost just going up. So that's what we came in and said, what's a better solution than doing things manually, using big law firms, using big tax firms, and these KYC providers. Now we're seeing a big change with Know Your Customer and these whitelists. What's a better solution for the community that will protect them? And we saw some really great projects that they just didn't have the funding even to go through legal. So a lot of those times either the project didn't happen because of that, or they simply did it without that. And we want to be able to offer those solutions at a community-driven cost.
Right, so if you're thinking about, like, I guess the premise of blockchain itself, you're trying to cut out all of the very arduous processes of the middlemen with all the legalities that we see in commonplace central systems, which again reinforces the value of the blockchain. But Steve, if we can talk about essentially the one-stop shop slogan, where does that fit into Project ICO?
Sure. So we wanted to put all those services together, and with Project ICO, we were able to do that. We introduced a great legal team at Stradling and their tax team, and our marketing tools that we created and PR team, and that was our one-stop shop. And we saw, well, now customers want a KYC process. We have that system to do, so we were using third parties for that. Third parties for legal agreements, and it was like, how can we make this system more efficient? And that's why our whole slogan now with Bridge is one KYC, one whitelist. And not to go too far ahead, Brad, we can talk about Bridge in a second.
Yeah, and honestly, I cannot wait. I'm really excited about talking. And I normally wouldn't say that, but I can see the value myself as someone who knows a lot about blockchain in Bridge. So for all those who want to know, just hold on to your horses, hold on to your seats, because you're going to find out something quite interesting there. Let's talk about, essentially what makes Project ICO so important and so valuable in comparison to its competitors. Why is it that we should even consider Project ICO before we go to Bridge?
Well, that's the thing with Project ICO. We came in this space, and we saw these competitors, like ICO Box and Rocket ICO. Not only were their fees 4 or 5 times the price of Project ICO for consulting and helping with the engineering of the token sales, but they were an ICO for their ICO consulting firm, and it just really made no sense to us. So Project ICO, we wanted to keep our costs low, but offer a good value of people who actually had experience launching ICOs, and that's what really separated us. And we were always full staff when we joined a project, especially a great project like Elastos. we became part of that team for as long as they needed our help, and that's where we really prided ourselves.
Right, and I think we need to address that quickly now. Firstly, yes, you were heavily involved in the Elastis process. It was arguably one of the smoothest ICO processes, and particularly in their last sale, it was very smooth. So you're to be commended for your role in that. Let's talk about your legal, technological, and marketing aspects specifically. They're outlined in your white paper. They're outlined in your website. Starting with legal, legal team and legal value.
Great. So, we partnered with Stradling Laws, a really big firm out in California. And that was the first part. When someone wanted to start an ICO, that was the first thing that we would do is let's go through all the check marks. They would be consulted about where should they have their corporate structuring. Is this a security or not? The big question we see in the crypto space. What are you going to do for your business? Once you have this sale, are you going to liquidate? Are you going to hold a certain amount of crypto for business purposes? And that was kind of our first do. And then, our engineers would come into play, and they would help with the structuring, which blockchain protocol should you use, setting up the smart contracts and token. And then the marketing team came in, and they would handle, here's the best channels to go to. These are, people in the community that will really help you if they believe in you. And those are kind of the package that we put together for Project ICO.
Right. Okay. And let's talk about your team as well. I noticed that you have a team of approximately 9. Is that correct? Or arguably more. But they are very diverse. I mean, I've written some ideas of you go all the way from creative design right through the continua to really qualified legal experience. You also have yourself as a CEO. Just how important is that diversity in your team?
That's what the great thing about Project ICO. Most of my team, they've all come out with Bridge, and obviously we paired up with some more traditional, corporate employees. We have Fritz Lehman on our team from SAS, which we're here in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a really big software company and analytics firm. So he's going to be joining and helping us in a pretty large capacity, and we're excited about that. And we pulled on some engineers. My older brother Andrew, he has experience in helping previously write contracts for us before and tokenization. So we're excited to have pretty much all of the Project ICO team come over. So they've had experience with me running a few ICOs. So we've really all been able to see the areas that we can make better.
Right. And let's talk about expansion. Obviously, your goal is to expand and to become a more robust blockchain in itself. What's the plan in terms of the roadmap for that?
So we're already running a test net, and we have nodes on the Neo blockchain running on our own form of a private blockchain. So these are things where we're going to be reserving our private blockchain of Bridge for this verification for digital identities. So when you want to participate in a Neo ICO, you'd come to us through our marketplace. You'd securely give your information. Once that's done, it gets digitized in a certificate. We see all the things that you've certified. Like, Brad, we would see that you were, maybe you're over 18. I'm not sure.
Hope
but
so. In the grades tell me so.
Well, we'd see your metadata. So we'd see these things like Brad's over 18. He's verified a passport, a government issued license or driver's license. And then once we see that you verified those things, we'll actually tier you in our class. So tier 1 would just be basic information like name and email. Tier 2, which is what most of these processes would need for ICOs to accept you in a whitelist process. That would be something like name, email, and like I mentioned, a government issued ID. Right. And tier 3 is for accredited investors. So we're going to simplify a lot of processes. So you won't have to do that if you wanted to participate in, Deep Brain and Elastos and Effect AI and some cool upcoming projects. Well, you would do that one time. You wouldn't have to worry about who's getting your data, and they would easily be able to code our wallet logic into their smart contract script. So if you weren't in that tier, you couldn't participate. So this kind of protects everybody. Okay. And we're really excited about doing that.
So it's a one-time, one-stop shop. What's also one of the things you addressed there, which is a very important word, and that's government. Let's go there for a moment. Obviously, it's a buzzword. It's a concern for many people. How are you going to work in sync with governments, particularly given that you are essentially representing ICOs now? How important is that?
Well, that's kind of our first step was bringing someone on the team who has, executive experience at a large software company and analytics firm that has been dealing with a lot of these compliance issues. But, Brad, the blockchain space is the Wild West. There hasn't been any clear regulation on what to do. Right. And everybody's kind of been scared about wondering what's going to happen or what approach should we take. Well, our approach is the highest in the land. We're essentially emulating what you would do as an IPO for a security, using these SAFT agreements, using a verified know your customer process, putting that all together in a digital solution that's a tenth of the cost of what it would be to have a law firm come to them and say, we want to do an IPO. That's really our main strong suit that we're going to address really quickly. And that's going to say to anyone who, if any new ICO ever gets audited by the government, they're going to say, look, we did a thorough know your customer process. We complied using the latest legal agreements for protections and disclaimers for investors. And I think we're just really excited about being able to bring that on the blockchain now.
I would agree also, because obviously that's the way in which we are moving. The initial Generation 1 premise was to perhaps circumvent these procedures, but we're now understanding that the way forward, it's been said by many experts, many leading blockchains, is to be compliant. You are leading that way, particularly in the US. By being on NEO, you are on one of the strongest blockchains, regardless of people's view. It is in reality one of the strongest blockchains right now. So let's talk about community advantages. You have a very interesting bounty program. So how can people participate in that for Project ICO?
Sure. Well, that's like I said, we've gotten a lot of questions about, our cap amounts. Our goal is to let as many people in the community that want our IM tokens to get access to that. And we're going to be able to do that through, our whitelist process. But our bounty program is very generous. We're doing 15 million IM tokens, which we're valuing at 5 cents for the ICO. So that's $750,000 we'll be giving to the community to work with us, spread the word. We want other attorneys to get involved. We have a few on our board now, but we're some more as this grows, and incentivizing them with our token in the beginning will bring a lot of value to the community because they'll have more resources. So we'll announce that on Bitcoin Talk tonight, and we'll get that out to the community to start participating.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be tuning into that site. And Steve, let's move it across to now what arguably is the buzzword right now in cryptocurrency and blockchain, and that is bridge protocol. If anyone knows anything about ID, it's an imperative right now for any of these major initiatives to actually come to fruition, and you're one of those solutions. So let's talk about the what. What is this bridge protocol we're so excited to hear about?
Well, so it's a kind of a culmination of all the things we were talking about with Project ICO, now digitally. So what separates us from a lot of the different competition out there is the fact that we store this metadata that we mentioned to you. Everyone else will make you download a web app or encrypt it on your device somewhere. We're going to be seeing you verified in the marketplace. Once we see this as all these check marks are done, essentially, we'll go in and tier you. So it will be like you'd be able to act like you giving somebody your driver's license. They'll know that you have because you're in our tier, but you won't actually have to show them your driver's license. You won't have to give them that sensitive information. Now you can just unlock it with your private key like you would, when you want to send NEO to somebody or, right, participate in an ICO. So we're going to really keep the user's data in control. We're going to keep your sensitive information off our chain. We'll never have that. You're going to be able to have complete control, which is honestly, we thought was a really simple solution to this, but we didn't see much of our competition heading in this way. So that's why we really wanted to release this.
Steve, let's talk about that. That's a very important point, is that you are explaining that you are not housing that data. You're not housing the ID data. Let's talk about how you're doing that, and let's talk about the competitors. Let's get real about whether they do house that.
Sure. So it's really a basic concept on how these chain works. Think about a database essentially. It would say Brad on the top, over 18, U.S. resident. You're not on any money laundering or terrorism list. He gets approved into tier 2, and that's the only data that will tie to your bridge wallet that will give you. So that will give you access to these ICOs. That will, as into governments and hopefully expand into other businesses, which is our main goal. You'll have this ID one time and you'll never have to do it again. So that's how that process works. And like I said, as far as I know, and from the studying we've done of our competition, there's a lot of different government standards in play, whether they're PII, the Personal Identity Information Standards, or the GDPR, which is a global regulation out of Europe, which they make you have to be able to have your data portable, it has to be removable, and it has to be access for you only for that reasonable time that the person wants it. Right. So our solution offers that without the business having to do too much. So they adhere to all those regulations that that we're seeing businesses spend 10, 20 million, 10, 20, 30 million dollars on, now they're going to be able to do it with our Easy Bridge wallet.
Right, and I think that point you made about the portability and being able to use that and how control that data as the autonomous actor in the space of blockchain.
Sure.
By doing that also, you circumvent some of these legal problems because you're taking that, essentially that control away from those centralized powers. And as you move through the blockchain space internationally, your system provides for arguably one of the most robust and most real-world ID solutions. Let's talk about why Neo. Why use Neo for Bridge Protocol, and what benefits is it bringing you?
Well, you guys kind of know from the beginning, I'm a big Neo fan, and, we have involvement with Neo. We work with them very closely in other Neo projects. So not only the technological value that they bring, but, we're close with them and we want to keep it that way, and we really value them. So, and the project that they're doing. But Neo, if you think about Ethereum and look at Neo, look at Ethereum, there's over 1,000 ICOs that have launched on Ethereum, and it's like, when are we going to start saying as a community we want more quality projects that are doing things with the correct way and the legal way, setting it to a higher standard? And Neo, as soon as they launched, that was one of the first things that they wanted to do by setting this gas threshold, which I'm sure you've seen, Brad, in the community. Yes. Why would I launch on there? Right now, gas is $40. You're looking at $30,000 for 500 gas to launch on the main net, which, right. It's a good amount of money for most people. So this is going to weed out most fly-by-night projects, in my opinion. So you're going to have more quality people with skin in the game, businesses that will want to launch on Neo, and these really adhere to our values. So that's why we chose Neo. Their tech is great. We're very excited about that.
Okay, so let's just go back and reiterate this point for the listeners. It's expensive, essentially, is what you're saying, to enact a smart contract, to have some sort of, to utilize the Neo blockchain seriously. $35,000 approximately, using that gas threshold. So one of the benefits is that you weed out the rubbish. Right from the outset, you are the real deal when it comes to quality, and you've chosen quality to go with that. So that's clear. Let's talk about exclusivity. Are you going to be exclusive with Neo?
That's our plan. We're only accepting Neo for our token sale. We've already launched our testnet and our nodes with Neo, and we plan on furthering using only Neo.
Well, I'm sure Hongfei would be excited to hear that. Now, let's unpack the tiers. You mentioned them before, but they are fundamental to the Bridge protocol itself in being something different, something that really sets you apart. So just explain that to us a bit more, how that tier system is so imperative and what it is.
Sure. So let's say you wanted to, participate in the, an upcoming Neo ICO. So let's give, Effect.ai as an example. And it looks like a really exciting project, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
So if you wanted to participate in their KYC process, if they have a KYC process, I'm not sure if they are, but if they do, instead of sending your information to you're not sure where as an investor, now you'd go to Bridge. Bridge would classify you very quickly within a day. Our system's that fast, and then you get this wallet. So each tier would, as you would your Neo wallet, or Ethereum, you'd see 0x, and then you have your address. So here you're going to have T1, T2, or T3. So immediately right there from that contract logic, we're going to be able to weed out who can participate. So for the ICO founders, if they're running the SAP agreement, they only want accredited investors, and you have to be tier 3. Instead of that ICO going through $60 for each accredited investor, now they'll easily be able to have a pool of people who have already verified on our system. They'll be T3 hard-coded to their wallet and to their digital identity, and then they'll be able to easily participate. And if they don't have a T3 on their wallet, well, they can't participate. So it saves the founders money, it saves their community money, and it allows them to act in this compliant standard that when these things do get regulated, and they will, you can say to auditors, we did everything that we could possible to make this compliant and safe.
Right. And what's interesting also is that you are, at this point, exclusive with Neo. You're based in the US currently, is that correct?
Correct. We're in Raleigh, North Carolina.
So let's get real about this as well. You are positioned in the West, in a perfect position, in essentially a very hot market, and you're utilizing Neo. Is it fair to say also you're going to bring business into Neo directly?
We plan to. We consult. I see probably 4 or 5 projects on my day. A day under project ICO, and we're not an ICO pumper. We only want to work with quality projects to begin with. So with Bridge, now we're going to be able to lower the cost for the quality projects that we do see, but now we're going to be able to offer a neo blockchain solution for their token sale. So not only will they get a NEO token, an NEP5 token, and a smart contract that we can help them code, but now they're going to be able to get all these securities, the newest and best legal agreements, and a safe procedure at a tenth of the cost of what we were doing before. So, our goal is to bring more quality projects onto NEO, and this solution helps bring that cost down. So yes, maybe they'll spend a little bit more on that gas for their smart contract, $30,000, but we were seeing 150,000, 200,000 US dollars for just a basic legal agreement. So we're really going to bring those costs down for the founders, and which will benefit the community because we're going to bring better projects, and the founders won't pass that cost on to their customers.
Right, and we're also seeing, obviously the age-old adage of return of investment. It may cost you a bit in the initial, outlay, but obviously the value is in the long-term investment that people are making in these sort of spaces of blockchain business. So let's talk about the token itself. In terms of the cost. When it's, and let's talk about the dates. February 5, very important time. Why and how much is involved for the token itself?
Sure. So February 5th, as you mentioned, Brad, that's when we start our whitelist. We anticipate going for 15 days, and we're really excited and humbled by the outreach that we got. So we don't have a cap on how many whitelist registrants. Like I said, we want to have as much as the community involved as possible, but to a certain threshold, if it gets out of control, we'll obviously have to shut it down. But we plan on running for 15 days. Then everyone will get an email if they were approved or not through our verifier service. From there, then they'll be able to get the address to our smart contract. So we're planning on scheduling that roughly around February 22nd. And the moment they send NEO, they'll get IM token back out of their Neon wallet. And we really want to emphasize everybody, to make sure that they're using their Neon wallet and get the newest version. This will allow them to instantaneously get our token back. So I want to just make sure everybody knows that.
Yep, right. So February 22, it should be all finalized by then. It's important also the community are aware of the precedents we have seen in that they are closing before the end date. So it is something to acknowledge that we have seen things not run out for the full duration of time. I personally will expect that, given that what you are. I think you'll be very popular from the outset. ID is a serious solution that we need. How many tokens in total though, Steve? And what's the price?
So for the total tokens, we're doing 1 billion. 500 million will be in the token sale. They're going to be all 5 cents, all one round. The next 480 million are locked for 6 months in a smart contract. So, myself and all the purposes that we're going to use these tokens for, we won't be able to touch those for 6 months. So that's how that process will work.
Okay, so you've got a 6-month lockup. Let's talk about whales. I'm going to just be really ruthless on this one. We've seen so many projects fall to huge investments. We've seen so many inject a lot of cash from the private sector. Frustrating, the small player in the space. What are you doing? Are you going to be doing a private sale, or are you going to be for the people?
Right. So we're not doing a private sale. We're not changing the price of our token. We're making sure that it stays 5 cents for everybody who wants it, and the minimum is 1 NEO. And our process with doing a whitelist, we're going to have complete business control over how many people are in it and what they expect to contribute. So this is our way of saying to the community, when someone comes in, and obviously there might be some bad actors that might lie on their contribution amounts, and we can deal with that on an individual basis, but this will be our way to allow selectivity on who gets the address to participate. So I will tell you that we will be allowing many if you have 1 NEO or 500 NEO, we want you in our community, and we want to bring this solution to you. But we will be focusing on the smaller investors, because those are the people who we really want to bring this solution to. Right.
So you're about equality. You're egalitarian by design. Steve, what's the mission? What's the fundamental mission behind the Bridge protocol?
We want to bring safer ICOs for the NEO community. NEO has brought really quality projects so far, and like we said, we're seeing Ethereum get bombarded with projects who are just trying to take people's money and not going through the due diligence process. So Bridge acts as that intermediary of as a participant in an ICO, if they don't want to take the higher standard and go through a legal process with you, go through using a know your customer process, so they're adhering to certain laws in China, certain laws in the United States or Singapore. These are all the things that will come built in with our blockchain. So these are things that we wanted to bring in. So one day the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission here in the United States, doesn't come to one of the cool ICOs you invested in and force them to give everybody their NEO back, and then that token obviously is destroyed in value. So it hurts you as a participant and an investor. So we're really trying to clean that up.
Right, and let's talk about, again, we'll reinforce the competition component, because there's a huge buzzword with self-key, there's a huge buzzword with the key. So you've made it clear that you are distinct in your design, you're going to be operational very quickly. Obviously, Feb 5, we start the process, with the big bang. Why is it that we should lean more towards you as opposed to these other competitors, when firstly one of them is directly involved with NEO?
Sure. Well, I think they're a great project too. I think we all have our strengths. One thing I will say is, you wouldn't go to an American law firm to get Chinese investment advice for, the Chinese Securities Exchange. So that's what we bring in. We have experience with ICOs. We have a group of attorneys who deal with this and who have helped deal with this with, like I said, our past clients. And this is something that this is our specialty. We know the rules, guidelines, and regulations here in the United States, and we're building that inherent with our smart contract code for these, the KYC process and for that's really our strength. We plan on doing it as, we don't have a roadmap that is 2 years away. We're already running our test net, and relatively speaking, we like to under promise and over deliver. So I just wanted to tell the community that we're going to be here working very hard on this solution, and within a very, very short few months time, we're going to be able to offer this fully live and fully scalable. So we're really excited about that.
And Steve, thanks for making that point about complementation as well, because really what you're explaining is the regional specifics, in that you're not initially focused on the Chinese market right now. Obviously, let's see what happens in the future, but you really are representing a huge market in everywhere else with the West. And likewise, the key is also addressing its counterpart in China. So again, it's about complementing and supporting. We talked about the dates, we talked about what makes it great, talked about everything but one fundamental, and that's trust. So how do we enfranchise trust, and how do we relate that to the community so that they can trust not only you, but can trust this system?
Sure. Well, I hope that the community, sees us involved very much so in NEO, sees our, past experience with other NEO projects and, partnered NEO projects and in our involvement, and knows that, we're here for the long haul. There's other blockchains that we could have built on, and, we chose NEO because of our relationship with them, because of how great their team is and how helpful they've been to us. Whether it was, for a past client or, for anything that we needed. We want to make sure that we're here to support NEO, and I host they can see our past history.
Well, there's no question also, Steve, that you might be there to support NEO, but NEO is obviously there to support you as well through this process. It's in their interest that they move into other markets. But Steve, if we could ask you to look into the future, and I know it's a difficult thing, there's no crypto crystal ball, but what do you perceive in the next few years for your role as the CEO of two very prominent, very important companies, which will, we say projects now, but we're talking companies by then. What do you see looking back?
I'm just really humbled by how everything's progressed, and I'm happy that we were able to come in here early and see these inefficiencies. Future thinking, within 6 months, I expect Bridge to be the go-to platform when you want to launch an ICO on NEO, whether that's globally or in the United States. I see it as the platform that you come to get these legal agreements for your ICO, get this know your customer process and a secured identity that you can offer to your customers. We saw that all over the NEO forums after these ICOs, and other forums as well on Reddit. A lot of times, and I've heard horror stories that someone was just creating a back end, and people were sending personal information like their passport to. And that, first off, it's scary because you're not adhering to these global data standards, but we want to end that. We want to put trust in. I want everyone to feel safe when they send their passport or their social in an ICO to participate, that it's only used for that. In the moment that it's seen and you're verified, you don't have to keep doing it. So less room for hacks, less room for breaches. That's what we're really trying to provide.
Right. So obviously, mate, you want to grow. You want to grow substantially. To do that, you need a great marketing team. This is an important one. In the US particularly, you have a very prominent blockchain called Ethereum. Great marketing team, well known by many in the blockchain space. What are you going to do to redress the lack of prominence that Neo has currently in these spaces? But for the future, how are we going to get people to know Neo? How are we going to get people to know about you?
Well, we keep doing what we do every day. We grow as a community because of the quality. Neo has a few select projects that are high quality token sales. They're not, there's not 1,000 to sift through like Ethereum. Showing them, imagine coming up and you see these blockchains growing. Imagine coming to one that has a solution, not only a tech one like Neo, that web-based smart contracts and easily usable wallets for a new token, but they have a blockchain solution of a dApp on their network that can help you go through that token sale process with ease and a high quality blockchain process. So that is going to say to these communities and entrepreneurs and founders, when they're looking to choose, blockchain should we build our token on? Well, let's build one that hasn't had the SEC look into them for violations of any of their ICOs. And this is something that is just so important. If we can create this ecosystem that is legally compliant to the highest standard, which is the United States, that will say to entrepreneurs and more traditional minded people that this is the safe platform to build our company on.
Right. And obviously, being at the forefront of this, you're one of the first, arguably, if not the first, to do this in this environment. That's exciting in itself. So you've explained so much today, Steve. You explained what is a very exciting bridge protocol. It's going to be something that provides ID in a way that's tiered, in a way that's decentralized, in a way that's for the people. So is there anything you wanted to add to just on a final recap of what we've talked about, or just something new that you want to let us know about Bridge?
We'll be attending DevCon, and we're very excited about that. My brother, who's also our CTO, who designed our private blockchain, with Neo's code to do this, will be there, and we have a lot of great meetings lined up. So we'll have some good news to share with the community in the coming weeks, and we're really excited about what we're going to build together.
Well, so you're going to be at DevCon. That's exciting. You're also easily accessible via Telegram, as I understand, and many other different platforms. You have a social media expert on your team, even more important. So once again, guys, if you want to know more, there's many different places you can go. And Steve, what about the website? Where can we go?
Bridge Protocol, BRIDGE Protocol, all one word, .io. We have our Discords on there, Telegram, Facebook, Twitter. We have a great team, like you said, Brad, Justin, and Jesse, and I have a lot of help from a lot of our advisors. So we have a great team working, communicating with everybody any issues or questions they have, and we're here to serve the community. So as soon as we have new updates, we'll be sure to share that with everybody, and just really appreciate your time.
Well, Steve, it's been an absolute honor. You are the CEO of two very, very important companies. You've got Project ICO. You've also got the Bridge Protocol, very new, very innovative. Steve, Hyduchak, it's been a privilege. Impressive conversation today. I've learned so much. For all of you want to know more, please make sure you go and have a look, because normally I don't say this, but ID truly is something for the blockchain. It's an essential part for this to work, and Bridge is going to be part of that process. So once again, thank you so much for your time, Steve. It's been a privilege.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for all you do for Neo and the community as well. I really appreciate talking with you.
Thanks, mate.